Okay, so I'm going to do just a little teardrop arrangement. So I'm going to start with my largest flower, and I'm going to put that into the cake. So this is just a styrofoam tier that I'm working on, and it might be a little bit delicate getting the flowers in there. So I've started with that.
And you wanted to talk a little bit about wires and cakes, is that, because I know that that's a touchy subject. It's kind of a delicate one that you don't, I mean, it's hard to approach because some people are very anti, some people are, oh, it's fine. So what is your take?
Yeah, so I think the regulations vary a lot from country to country and even from state to state. When I started decorating, you know, it was way back, and we didn't have all the online stuff. So the studio that I worked at did put wires straight into cakes, and I didn't really know anything different to that. So I think it's important to just keep up to date with the regulations in your area. And I know there's a number of techniques for securing the wires and making them food safe. You can also build your flowers on something that's a food product, so a toothpick or a skewer, and then that can go straight into the cake. There's also straws. A lot of people are using straws. Dipping in chocolate and isomalt, I believe, is getting more popular. Yeah, it's I guess it's just what you're comfortable with. A lot of the time our wires will be taped, so yeah, most of the time with our big flowers we actually secure them to a toothpick, which makes them more stable in the cake. So, and we do that with a floral tape, which is also going to seal them up. I believe there's an issue with wires and corrosion into certain cakes, so you don't have it so much over there, but we have a fruit cake, which is not a popular flavour here, but some people still choose it, and it's a higher acid content, so that's a wire into that. I think it would only happen if the wire was in there for an extended period, but that can cause corrosion. So it might be similar with citrus flavours, that you would probably need to be very careful with a wire. So yeah, but in styrofoam it's easy, and we can stick them straight in. So I'm going to stick my second one in here. So you can see the first one is angled up, so I want it to be close to a 45-degree angle here. So facing forward, so you want to think about the angle that people are looking at it. So normally it's not flat down onto the cake, and it's not right up at a right angle either. You can mark that as a visual cue if you know, if you want to. Yeah, so I'm going to stick this leaf in here, and that's what I'm going to call my center point. And my next flower, I want to be angling out from that. Sometimes when I'm demoing this in class, sometimes I stick a skewer there, and then that's our center point.
That's really smart to have that center point. I think it really gives you a better eye of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, instead of just sticking things in random places. I honestly think this is one of the best things that can be taught.
Yeah, it's yeah, I guess I just came up with that because I saw yeah, in my classes people putting things in at funny angles that didn't look natural or right, and so that's just something that I use as a teaching tool. So now we're going to start going over the edge, and we want to make a nice transition from the flowers on top to the ones that are trailing down the front. So I've got these two are both within the surface of the top tier, and my next one I want to start hanging that halfway. Putting this in, and now I can see I don't really like this relationship here, so I'm going to change the angle. So my large flower is angled out slightly more, and I didn't really like that sitting at a lower level to this flower. It's you really want a nice cascade over the side here. if I turn it around, you'll see there's a big gap at the back here, and I might just stick a flowers down to smaller flowers. So I'm just going to fill that, angling towards the center again, and then we've got most of that happening, and now we can just start trailing our buds down the front. So now I'm going to start.
I forgot to mention, to those of you that may be new, welcome. I'm sorry I didn't say this earlier, but there is in the chat box that's next to the screen that you're watching, I hope that you're all on there and saying hello and everything. If you do have a question, you can ask the question in that chat box, and I will make sure that Faye gets that question and she can answer that for you. So make sure that you get your questions in. I will also be checking the questions that are sent in through the comment box at the bottom of the screen, because I know that some people, sometimes this chat box doesn't work for some people. And so I want you guys to be able to get your questions answered as well. So make sure that you go ahead and ask those questions in the comment section below. And I will keep an eye on those as well. So go ahead and get your questions in, because that's why we do this live, so that you can get all of the questions answered that you would like to ask Faye at the moment. Okay, awesome. Back to you.
Yeah, just shout out any questions. I'm very happy to answer. So now we have the main flowers in place. So what I've done is just trailed down some buds. So we had these two.
Let's see if we can get her back. All right. I apologize for that, you guys. Hopefully we can get her back soon. It looks like she's dropped out. Hopefully she's starting again. And we'll get her back here in just a minute. For those of you in the meantime, make sure you go check out Faye's Craftsy class. Again, the link is down here at the bottom. This is the link that will take you over there, and you will receive a 25% discount on her class today. So make sure you go and check that out. Definitely really wonderful. I've been seeing a lot of people giving really great reviews on the comment section here about how wonderful her class is. For those of you that are interested, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with my adventures. We recently moved just about a month and a half ago. And again, for those of you that, what? I thought she already moved. Yes, we moved again, and we have moved our cake studio again. So this is kind of just our temporary setup until we get up and going again. We have a really great spot in our home for a really great studio. Hopefully we can get it up and going really quickly, because I keep getting these ideas of, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and anyway, so hopefully we get it up and going soon, because I have some really great plans coming up. So stick with us. Do you think we're back up and going, or I wonder if the connection is just not quite?
Yeah, I can see you, and I don't have the error messages now, so it could be good.
Should we try and continue on?
Yeah, there's not much to go actually. I'm just going to dabbing the leaves in. So what I do with leaves is I use them to add a lot of shape to the arrangement. So so looking at the shape of a leaf, we have a nice point at the end, which is going to really move the eye nicely around the arrangement. So we just use this to add a little bit of direction. So we're using it to fill the gaps, and obviously you don't want to see the work. We're covering those up, but we're really accentuating the shape. So I find a lot of our brides are a little bit scared to use green on cake, so we use the leaves in white as well. But I love it if they will let us put a bit of green in there. I think it's always really beautiful. It frames the arrangements really nicely. So I'm just going to start working around, and I probably going to need to cut these a little bit shorter just to make sure that we can get them into the foam here. It's a little bit tricky. Okay, so maybe I'm just going to finish towards the front. So looking at this leaf here, I'm wondering maybe it's a little too big. I'm going to swap that for a medium. So we use very stylized flowers, and the same with our leaves. So you can see they're not super realistic. They're quite stylized, and I keep them reasonably flat because I find that that's it fills the gaps really nicely. It's covering what we need to. We can slip them between the flowers, and then we can angle them the way we like to.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see I have a leaf on one side of this arrangement, so I want to balance that by putting one out here, and we also need to fill this little gap in here. Also, I don't finish the back of my flowers very much, so we want to make sure that's covered as well. Okay, so now we're getting the shape framed a little bit nicer, and we can just continue on with that.
It's amazing what the leaves can do.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And especially down in this section, it's going to give the arrangement some really nice direction.
So I think that we missed the part where you did the cascaded flowers. Can we see that a little bit better?
Oh, really?
Can you angle that down just a little bit?
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that we did miss that
Yeah.
part.
Oh, you did. Okay. So, so what I've done with these buds, so we work with, in roses, we work with the 3 sizes, so the large, medium, and the buds. And so after I've cascaded over the side with the medium, then we're just offsetting three buds. So we don't want them to be in a straight line. We're just offsetting each one down the side of the cake and creating that trailing shape. So you can see these two are a little bit side by side, although moving down, it just really gives you which we're waiting more with the leaves.
Okay. Could you angle your camera down just a tiny bit so you can see the bottom part of this? Perfect. That's a great view of it.
Sorry, I have sun coming in here.
No apologies needed. It's hard to be the cameraman and the demonstrator at the same time. So I'll be your cameraman.
Yeah. So now I'm finishing up the V shape. So I just need to have a little look. And to me, there's a gap here that really needs something in it. So I'm just going to add. So we've added another leaf in here, and okay. So now, if we imagine that maybe the top tier of a wedding cake, we can extend this down a little bit further. So I have a couple of my smallest size leaves, and I'm just going to tape those together and do a little wide arrangement. So usually the smaller will be the furthest away. So I've just got some florist tape, and I'm going to tape up the stem here and do the same on my second leaf. So then I just have a little wired sprig of leaves, which I'm going to put down the bottom here, and just adds to that shape. So you can see that that's really coming down into a nice teardrop. Okay, so that's pretty much finished that arrangement. So one thing that I like to mention in just teaching these kind of arrangements is connecting the whole scheme of the cake together. So the ways I do that, if there's several arrangements on the cake, I want them to point towards each other, and the leaves are a big part of that. So if you are you looking at the cake now? So if you look if you look at this cake, there's a direction happening down here, and we might use that to point towards the next arrangement on the cake. So the leaves at the base here will be pointing towards the next arrangement on the cake, and then maybe that arrangement might have some leaves pointing back up at this one, and it just connects them nicely. Makes your eye move really naturally around the cake, and I think it can bring the whole design together really nice. That's just I'm thinking the arrangements on the cake.
Beautiful. I love that tip of having the arrangements point towards each other. I think that's brilliant. You know, a lot of people don't know how to do things that way. You know, that you don't really. I mean, you want something here, you want something here, but to have them kind of pointing towards each other, making a really smooth, really clean, really, you know, organic look. I think it's beautiful.